When I'm talking to you about insect and disease control, one of the very best weapons or tools that you have are the microbial, the natural, the organic inoculants that we use to add to our mixtures. And I'm going to show you 5 of our most popular inoculants, and I'm just going to demonstrate the form that they come in and talk a little bit about their benefits. And it's sort of hard to demonstrate the use of these because they're usually inoculated into the trenches, as you've seen, or added to our liquid mixtures, our 50, 100, or 200 gallon tanks, and mixed accordingly. And so I'm going to show you the form so that you'll know exactly what they look like and how they're used. And the first one that I'm going to show you is called a eutectic. This is a substance that is a phosphite fungicide, and what makes it unique is that they boil it at a low temperature, and it looks like Karo syrup. You can see what I'm talking about here. All right, you see that? That is a eutectic, and that is a PO3 phosphite fungicide. And we use it because it does not interrupt the actions of the mycorrhiza fungi in the soil. There's usually 12, 14, 15 different mycorrhiza, and I'll get to those in just one second, but that's just one of them. We also have humus, which is earthworm castings, and a lot of people think that earthworm castings has to be something very slimy, and when they're properly processed, this is what they look like. You can see it's enclosed in a capsule, and it's very easy to handle. These are usually, because of the form that you see here, are usually inoculated into the prepared trenches of the hub and spoke pattern. And they really do accelerate the growth of the roots because it's exactly what form of food that they need to break down in that nutrient cycling process, and it fills it in. We also have mycorrhiza fungus. Now, we've talked about the 12 varieties. Some favor the hardwoods like oaks. Some of them favor the softwoods like pines, and there's an endo and an ecto variety, and they take a form that's a little bit dusty and a little bit finer, and because of this we find it a lot easier. See that dust? There's nothing toxic about that. It's not even much caustic, but that's exactly what they look like. Have a very distinct odor. You'll get familiar with that as you begin to use it, and that's best to mix in water and apply into the prepared trenches of your hub and spoke pattern once again. We also have, you've heard me talk about amplifier. Now, an amplifier that we found to be most effective is made out of hydrolyzed feathers. This is an import product from France, and it is a little bit difficult to deal with because it comes in a powder that it looks like talcum powder. And actually, some of what you see in here is a food supplement for Similac and Ensure. It's that nutritious. It's a very high source of protein, and it allows us to use less of things like an insecticide or a soil applied. This is not good for foliar application. It's just for ground and drenching in the critical root zone, but it is very, very effective. And last but not least is a granular plant food. This is a biofood. We'll be glad to tell any requests that you have for where you get this. We have cost for this, this granular plant food is $37.50 for a 50-pound bag, and it's 69 cents per pound. And it comes in, this is not a fertilizer in any way, and you see it's nice and granular. It comes in these round balls. It's lignite, and lignite is the form of compacted organic humates in between the form of peat moss and coal. And somewhere in between, in the last million or so years, this was formed, and they divide it into this granular substance. Then they freeze dry a yeast onto it, which in turn breaks down the bonds between nutrients in the soil, making them more available, and it fixes nitrogen from the air. Nowhere in this presentation have you seen or heard me refer to applications of urea or ammonium-derived nitrogen, and that is because it's everywhere. We can't get away from it, and we continue to find that when this excess and immediately available nitrogen is applied to the lawn, and it leaches into the trees and the natural areas, the beds where the bushes and trees are growing, it sends them a signal to grow at all cost, when in fact at certain times of the year we would prefer that they put out root growth, that they would devote their internal resource allocations to disease and insect suppression, especially late in the summer when it's hot and it's dry. One of the worst things that can be done is that after a rain or a watering or irrigation, you can dump this urea or ammonium derived nitrogen into the ecosystem and tell all of the plants that it drains into to grow, and neglect the other functions that they need for maintenance and survival in a designed ecosystem of balance. And so the inoculants that I have shown you now are our most popular ones. Call us if you want to know where we get them, and if you'd like to acquire them. Otherwise, look in your region, find them, use them, and consult with us and the network that we access for you, and find out what is the best way to solve these problems.